Now, the controversy over the recently announced 5% fuel surcharge has continued to stir public debate across the country. Many Nigerians believe it is a fresh tax introduced by the present administration and currently a burden on citizens. However, the federal government is disputing this position, saying that the surcharge has existed under the law. Now, to discuss this, we have joining me an economist. His name is Femi Onokanren. You're welcome, sir.
Good to be here.
Now, Femi, what are the short and medium term inflation impacts of a 5% fuel surcharge on core consumer goods and services, considering the fact that Nigerians are currently at an inflation rate?
So it's important that when looking at situations, we dimension them from not just the consequences, but we look at the cost end of it.
Right.
So we say we have a 5% surcharge. Since 2007, it's been part of FEMA law that there should be a 5% surcharge. And the objective was to use that money to build infrastructure and improve our, our road networks. The purpose of the PTAA, the Act, right, the Tax Act, is just to harmonize all surcharges across different areas, or arbitrary understanding of what tax really means, and just harmonize it together. So the surcharge is not really a problem. It's something that should have been implemented before.
Right.
The Senate previously had actually asked that the NNPC remit to FEMA for the maintenance of roads. Now, a simple calculation we did in the office, right? We said, if we estimate how much people spend on car maintenance and road accidents and all the things that come with it, and we compare it with how much income we're getting from the surcharge, we could just to contribute to repairing the road, because all the income from the surcharge is far less than what is required to actually maintain our roads and keep it going. We realize that it's actually a gain in the long term. However, the understanding of the word tax is the challenge we have as a people, because when you say the word tax, it comes across as a burden, and it's an extra thing that's coming out. But if it's seen as a contribution towards achieving a purpose, and it is leveraged, right, then it means that there's a bigger benefit in the long term for all concerned.
Right. And then, I mean, when we speak about the aggregated demand, how might the surcharge affect the aggregated demand, particularly in low-income households that rely heavily on fuel-dependent transportation and power generators?
So the breakdown of the surcharge, right, on fuel consumption is so minuscule in terms of translation to actual fee changes. So let's say out of 100 naira, for example, out of 105%, so that's 5 naira per 100 naira. NURTW and all the other logistics management companies are not going to increase the cost of transportation by 50% because of that transition. It is minuscule. However, there are a lot of back-end benefits instituted through the Tax Act that actually compensates for low-income households. It's actually taking a lot of burden away from them, right, reducing their exposure and harmonizing the entire tax framework. We've always been complaining about multiple tax channels in the country. Now, this actually helps us to harmonize, and we have transparency. So this is the one we're paying for on this particular issue. And that brings in the strength of the citizenry, accountability. Now we can call the government and say, look, you're collecting this for this purpose, then how is it reflecting in terms of infrastructure growth, as you claim?
All right. Now, I mean, let's take a look at the subsidy reforms. In terms of subsidy reforms, does the imposition of this surcharge represent a step towards a degenerated fuel pricing regime, or is it just a contradiction?
Yeah, I think that's a bit of politics coming into economics, because the truth is subsidy was never sustainable, right? And we were not earning enough, and then we had a lot of internal issues that constrained that particular position. So subsidy was never going to be. The surcharge is like a global standard, actually. Everybody does it because there's so much demand on government to maintain infrastructure, environment, and all, and such little revenue to drive it, that this particular fossil fuel engine can actually be harnessed to help. So it's a global concept. We would still have had some fuel surcharge at some point in time. However, subsidy is a big behemoth in our economy. It's a drain, right? And the drain on the economy is actually the biggest, case of life that this administration has given, to the country.
Right. There is now a challenge when it comes to public perception. How do you reconcile public perception on the surcharge as a new tax with the economic arguments of internal costs recovery within the petroleum pricing framework right now?
What's interesting is communication is about putting your message across, and not just communicating what you think, but letting the other person understand what you're talking about. So if the government, right, want to push this through, first they need to delineate the entire framework of looking at it as a tax. Right. It is pointed at as a surcharge, just like when you pay VAT, right, or you pay a small token when you buy something. It's a surcharge. It is not like a tax proper in the way people look at it. It's a service charge. That's what a surcharge is. It's really more a service charge, and that's for road maintenance and all. And that needs to be properly communicated. The gains from this also should be properly communicated. The framework for accountability and implementation of whatever you're getting from it should also be clearly communicated. When people can see the gains and they can follow up on implementation and realize that, oh, this benefits us ultimately, it becomes easier to bear. In other countries in the world, those we want to emulate, right, other economies, this is standard, and there's no uproar about it, because you can actually hold to a large extent the administrators responsible, because it's all transparent and open. And that's what we're hoping that Nigeria will move towards. It. No more obscure tax, regimes and frameworks, micromanaging different MDAs and all that. We want a situation that everything is harmonized, is straightforward, and we can now start asking government and institutions for accountability on how you're, using our funds.
Now, when it comes to people getting informed with the surcharge and all of this, are there various platforms that people can make use of in order for them to be properly informed?
Well, I don't hold brief for the government, right? So I wouldn't speak in their behalf, but I believe it's the kind of mandate that NOA, right, should actually, pick up, National Orientation Agency, and that's just to let people know, look, in this scenario, basically, we're trying to change the mindset of the people of the country, and we also want to keep the government connected to us, right? If we can push that message and get people sensitized about it, there'll be a lot more buying. If you recall, the harmonization of the Naira regime, when we had multiple effects, was really resisted, and people said it was all bad. But it's created so much stability that investors are a bit more comfortable. They can say, okay, I can project what's going to happen in this economy at this time. The central bank is responsible, is keeping an eye on it. There's no backdoor, and those are the kind of things we want. If we want the growth that we love as a country, I mean, we're very intelligent people. We love having fun, we love prosperity, we love good things, but we're not lazy. So if we want those things, we have to make the sacrifices, and sacrifice comes with understanding. There's a benefit at the end of it. And so if the government can actually help people, communicate that to people, say, this is what you're going to gain at the end of it, and this is how you can monitor me, this is how I'm accountable for each step, then there'll be a lot more, a lot easier buying for some of these policies.
Right, Femi, thank you so much for all of that insight.